we're going to give you
El Grande. Step right up if you'd like to take the grand tour.
This was shit, we're doing it again.
No, it's a good one. It's very good.
Step right up.
If you'd like to take the grand tour.
Step right up, come on in. If you'd like to take the grand tour of a lonely house that once was home, sweet home.
First of all, we're going to show you with where we cook. Just turn on the gas, alright here. Nice and neat and tucked away. And then we're good to roll. Everything in the ox is supposed to be able to be accessed within a 30-second period at most. Which means that all of our pots and pans are here. Our fire lighters, we're lighting the fire. We've got a twin gas stove, which is excellent for cooking on. And everything we need is in these cupboards. So this is all our cutlery. And here, all our bits and pieces we need for cooking. Handy right by the stove, and grill. Got to mention the grill, it's in there. Good for making garlic bread if you don't have a fire. We've got all of our saucepans are up there. Frying pans, bowls, plates, cups, whiskey glass, very important. Jade's beloved boards. Why is there foam in here? And this is the spice drawer, which seems to continuously want to explode, but I think we've got it sorted now. We had a Worcester sauce incident, what we refer to as the black flood. Everything's pretty neat in here. Got lots of nice little tins that we like to keep things all nice and organised, and we got this baby a little while ago. This is one of our fridges, we've got two of them. Again, everything pretty neat. This is the one that we want to access all the time, so we've got things that we usually have. Tim Tam, crucial. Thank you, my lovely assistant. And here we've got our main fridge that we actually usually keep more as a freezer, but actually seems to be on about 2 at the moment. Not real good. The cool pattern on it. Goes up like that. It used to be a pump, but Jadis McCladis replaced it for a proper tap, so you have easy running water with use of a pump. It's pretty bloody glamorous. These obviously lock up nice and tight. Got Jade's neatly folded clothes. We've got way more stuff than we want to right now because we're on our way to Adelaide. So food, tomato sauce, my clothes, my things in an ammo box. Under here we've also got more stuff. We've got the nuts and bolts, electrical gear, Jade's toolkit, work toolkit, recovery gear, easy to access as necessary. Our speaker, we've also got a whole bunch of other books and bits and bobs and general things behind this fridge that we don't access very much, more than you would think. Towels, sleeping bags, my ukulele, just lots of bits and pieces. My backpack behind there. We've got lots of handy little pockets here to keep things in, which is good. We've just basically put pockets everywhere. Make things a lot easier. If things have a space, it's much easier not to lose them. Toiletries, we've got our toothbrushes to easy access, soap, head torches, wash bag, medical kit, etc. Just all that kind of stuff that you need. And this is very handy, the alcohol solution for washing your hands when you haven't got very much access to water. Also very important here is some safety stuff. So we've got an EPIRB, which is really important when it works, which this doesn't. Very expired, we need to get a new one. That aside, fire extinguisher, fire blanket, very handy lead lens torch. Got a little blade there, also comes very handy. This is also a little fold down shelf that we eat off. I'm sure you've seen that before with our trusty map of Australia, so we can discuss our grand plans over breakfast, lunch and dinner. So this is the ox with the bed up, very spacious, heaps of space there, you can easily stand, cook, get everything out that you need. But we'll show you what it looks like with the bed coming down.
See?
And voila! This is where we sleep. It's very comfortable, as you can see. Got breezy coming in from 3 sides. Plenty of room for 2 people up here. Yeah, you wake up with a beautiful view in the morning. Pretty good.
There's Kate there. It's a kind of a loft bed. There it is. Hi Kate.
Hi viewers.
There she is. Okay, now you just had Il Grande Tour. You might want to know how that stuff runs. Now I know a lot of you have got like, you know, fairly across this sort of stuff, but we'll show you ours anyway. We've got a pretty bulletproof electrical system, and that's pretty important if you want to run fridges and a we've got 2. We've got a fridge and a freezer, you know, and all that sort of things, water pumps, lights, etc. So obviously, you know, the first thing, you know, most people are pretty familiar with this. We've got a dual battery system, fairly common in these cruisers. It's good. You can fit 2 batteries right beside each other in the engine bay. We just use a red arc isolator, as you can probably see there. The red arc products are fantastic. That's just a basic isolator. Now our system's so good that quite often that isolator will never click off because the battery voltage stays so high that it doesn't even need to switch off to protect this battery, because even despite running 2 fridges. Now, but in addition to this battery, we've got actually a 3rd battery, another battery in the back there. So those 2 are our house battery supplies. We've got about 200 amp hours of battery power. All that battery power is great, but meaningless without some way of charging it. Now obviously the alternator is an obvious one, and you do get some charge from the alternator, but it's not a real lot, and it depends, you know, we don't always drive all the time. So of course we have solar panels. We have 200 watts of solar as well, which you can see there. Ours is permanently mounted. It's on the roof, and when the roof's up like that, they sit on around about a 45-degree angle, and if you're north facing, that's almost ideal for optimal solar charge. You know, there is some people might say that, you know, having panels on the roof means you've got to park in the sun. That's true, but we don't actually find that a problem. Put the window shade up, the ox stays really cool in there. It's quite often the coolest place around. Actually, it's always the coolest place around
When we were in it.
Yeah. So so the solar panels are pretty essential. Actually, come this way. Let's have a look. You following me? I mean, this is fascinating stuff. Now, this is actually. Is this okay? Can you see this?
Yep.
This is actually the heart and soul of our solar system. This is a PowerStar MPPT. It's a maximum power point tracking solar regulator. It's actually made in Australia. It's a really good one. And the solar feeds into there. But essentially you could think of this like a battery charger. This is actually the battery charger. And the solar panels provide the current, which this then turns into a charge. And that pretty much keeps our system running, you know, pretty tip-top. As you can see now, it's floating. It's at 13.2 volts. There, it's late in the afternoon. We've still got charge coming in, and we'll lose a little bit overnight. Yeah, we do have two auxiliary batteries, which is about 200 amp hours. You could probably, depending on your electrical requirements, one is generally sufficient, but we have, you know, a bit going on in here. Battery capacity is kind of useless if you haven't got sufficient means of being able to charge it all up. So it's only as good as, there's no point having 300 amp hours of batteries if you can't get the charge in each day. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, babe.
The other addition that we made prior to the canning, something we've wanted to do anyway for a long time, this is a auxiliary fuel tank. Now, as a lot of people out there probably know, the Troopy comes with 2 fuel tanks, primary tank here and a sub tank which is actually behind the rear axle there, you can probably see. And so it already has something like 180 litres of fuel capacity, but that's not always enough. Just so happens that there is more or less empty space right here. Long Range Automotive in Lilydale, Victoria fabricated this for us. It fits beautifully into that space. The exhaust has to be rerouted a little bit and runs up alongside it here, fits up and over the prop shaft, maximises all that space in there and holds around about 90 litres, and that's 90 usable litres. I say this because this tank doesn't actually feed directly to the engine. It's actually plumbed via an auxiliary transfer pump, which is over here, and it pumps fuel from here into this tank. So when this tank runs empty, we just simply hit the transfer pump and pump all the fuel from here into here. And so you can basically pump this tank completely dry if you need to, and we have done before. So that gives us in total around about 245 litres. Yeah, so it's pretty brilliant. It's certainly improved our range, and again, the weight is right in between the two axles, so it's you know, where you want to carry fuel, between the axles, low down. The main fuel tank gauge is here, sub tank gauge is here. Those of you might remember these old little humps in the middle. Yes, our wide ox still has one of those. This is the auxiliary fuel tank. That's the gauge, fuel level gauge, and basically we hit this button here, orange light comes on. We're now transferring fuel from that tank, so you'll watch that gauge go down and you can watch this gauge here go up. It's actually quite a novelty to be driving along and actually watching your fuel tank gauge go up and not down.
Rightio, this is our wheel carrier. This is a new addition to the Ox, and a very welcome one that we're pretty proud of. We went back for the Outback Accessories wheel carrier rather than the Kmart bar. We weighed up the option. Funny I should say weigh. This is considerably lighter than the Kmart one, and especially light not only for the Ox but also on our pockets. It's quite a bit cheaper. We didn't want to do the canning, of course, without 2 spare wheels or spare tyres. It's kind of an essential. That being said, we did modify a bit. We actually cut off these carrier arms, which was sticking out a little bit too much, we felt. So we cut and ground them off and then re-welded them back on, making that fit in nice and neat. We've also got the addition, we had to move back this rear light, which is pretty handy to have, especially when you're reversing down sand dunes.
At night.
At night. You wanna make sure
which is not really recommended.
Not really recommended, but it has happened. The cool thing is actually our reverse camera in here, which you kind of need to zoom in to be able to see. Look how well he fits in there. And yeah, not only does the wheel carrier give us our 2 spare tyres, albeit with quite a bit of extra weight, about, well, over 200 kilograms of weight really, but necessary weight. But it does also give us a bit more room to play. So I already mentioned the rear light. We've also got our rubbish bin. Really important, especially on the canning where you can't get rid of rubbish. You don't want to bury it. We did burn a little bit, but really you just want to take as much with you as you can, and just leave everything as you found it. We've also got our spade. Also crucial, not only for if you want to get out of trouble, if you get a bit bogged. First option, of course, is, you know, trying to dig yourself out after blowing fresh and that sort of stuff.
After having a cold beer and maybe a few swear words.
Getting into a zen state.
The next step is probably go for the Max Tracks.
Which we also just got just before the... I didn't see that there was a little...
And or the shovel. Yeah.
Shovel
is actually a pretty good recovery tool. Probably underutilised, I would say.
So crucial for...
And it's also handy when you need to
you know what I mean?
number twos.
But yeah, and our Max Tracks, I mean really they're just for decoration. They just look cool.
Well, that's why we got the orange ones.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I suppose they might come in useful if we ever get bogged. What
do you mean?
It's very easy to open. This gas struts work beautifully.
Yeah, so it is quite nice the way it functions. The struts hold it open even on side slopes, so you know there is a little locking device there, but we've never had to use it.
Obviously, anytime you're carrying as much extra weight as you do when you've got spare tyres, is going to be a bit of a compromise. A lot of people carry them on the top of the vehicle. Not ideal. You're putting all of that extra weight on the top, so it means your weight distribution is all wrong, much more susceptible to rolling and tipping and all that sort of stuff. Much better to have it lower down. obviously we'd rather have it kind of closer to the front, but there's nowhere really you can put it. So we just thought that this was the best compromise in terms of the safety of having 2 spare tyres and having, you know, pretty good weight distribution, as well as, you know, a good weight with the bar itself. So we're pretty happy with it, and it looks really shit hot. So that is the Ox. That is the Grand Tour. You now know how we're living it, how we're cooking it, how we sleep in it.
Cook.
Cook. How we're cooking it. How do you even say that in
I thought you
Australian
actually
accent?
said how we're kicking it.
Cooking it.
We're kicking it in the Ox. We are cooking it. We do cook
We cook.
in it.
Obviously it's still a huge work in progress, and it's never finished. It's a never-ending cycle of spending money and time trying to improve it. So the next big project that we would love, well, one of the next big projects we'd love to do is to rip out the whole interior and rebuild it with something that isn't chipboard, which is the shittest, heaviest, most useless material,
horrible material
known to man.
By the way, we didn't actually put it in, and it's quite functional and works well, but yeah, it definitely don't ever use chipboard. My consideration, electrically speaking, the solar and setup and the power electrical setup here is about as good as any I've ever seen.
But we're wondering what else people want to know. Jade here is the battery guru.
Yes, well, I used to do that for a living, but
so if you want to know anything else about batteries or solar setups, then let us know.
Yeah, if you want
Write it in the comments.
People want more in-depth kind of, I know this subject has been done to death perhaps, but there's also a lot of misinformation. We're quite happy to do an in-depth video, not just about our electrical system, but how to actually put together one, a fully standby electrical system that won't let you down, that will run consistently all the time. As far as changing it though, because this vehicle was built around AGM batteries, which are an excellent lead acid battery, very rugged, non-spillable, non-gassing, ideal, but they are a lead acid battery, and lead acid by very nature is very, very heavy. Now these days lithium batteries are becoming more popular, and they weren't available 10 years ago really. Now you can buy lithium batteries that fit like an N70 size, a four-wheel drive type battery. So that would be a consideration for us in the future. We would have to change our charger for a lithium battery charger. We would have to change our solar panel regulator.
It would also
lithium,
be,
but
apart from all the time, massive expense.
They're very expensive.
And for how much weight would it save?
It saves a bit. It's worthwhile in terms of weight. Though lead acid batteries are very heavy. I think you're looking at 20 odd kilos for a lead acid AGM, 25 kilos. Like when you pick one up, they're
yeah, but when the Ox weighs 3.6.
Yeah, I know, but you got to start somewhere, and you got to, you know, even sometimes we were going through the bolt tray and we'd get rid of a few bolts, and you put those bolts on the scale and they weigh what, 100 grams, and you think, ugh, I'm saving 100 grams, you know, but you've got to save weight somewhere.
There's something that we talk about a lot is weight. We're constantly trying to save weight. That would be the thing with the chipboard as well. Very heavy. Yeah,
the chipboard is heavy, unnecessarily heavy.
And it feels like it's made of cheese.
It's made of poo with a veneer on the top. No, it is. It's shit, but it's worked for us, and it's been functional. As I said, it's designed well and it works, but it's just a poor choice of material.
Yeah.
So we probably wouldn't change the design. We'd probably, other than what Kate already mentioned, just make it out of something more suitable. But again, composite materials are not cheap, and they're harder to work with. It would be cool.
But that is the Ox. So let us know if there's anything we missed out, anything else you're curious about, anything else you want to see. But for now, you got to know us a little better.
Slapped.
Slapped.
Fang it. That's that HQ.
Is it?
It's cool.
Right.
I want one. It's a Monaro.
What's it do for that?
Can we sell the Ox and buy a Monaro from do burnouts?